8 months pregnant. As the new year began, I'd finally entered a stable stage of my pregnancy. I can't even remember how many times I wanted to give up. After experiencing multiple miscarriages and stillbirths, and being diagnosed with a condition that would make it difficult for my child to grow up healthy, I was still able to hang in there because of my husband's unwavering support. He understood my deep desire to raise children and live in a warm, loving home. He willingly went to the hospital for tests, and after learning about my condition, he supported me wholeheartedly, taking on more work and household chores. It had been 5 years since we got married, and when we found out I was pregnant, I hugged him, overwhelmed with delight. I am Anya, and I am a mother who defied the odds. So what will we name this child? What kind of person will they be? I daydreamed about the future, lost in the joy of it all. Let's tell your parents about the pregnancy, my husband suggested. It's the beginning of the year and the timing feels right. I nodded, wholeheartedly agreeing. This child would be the first grandchild of both of our parents. I wanted to share the news with them face to face. So when the hustle and bustle of the New Year holidays calmed down, we went to my in-laws' house. My in-laws were overjoyed, hugging me with tears in their eyes. Only my husband's sister was absent due to work. But when I sent her a message, she was ecstatic, promising to visit soon. My mother-in-law's joy was particularly surprising. She held my hand tightly, thanking me over and over. "Thank you so much," she repeated, her voice thick with emotion. It was hard to believe this was the same woman who was usually sarcastic and had harassed me on numerous occasions. She seemed genuinely happy about my pregnancy. Seeing her like that, I couldn't help but cry. I didn't know if it was happiness or sadness or what these tears represented, but seeing her reaction brought a wave of relief. It is often said that children are a bond between parents. Maybe this child would be an opportunity for me to improve my relationship with my in-laws. With this hope blooming in my heart, I gently stroked my growing belly. On that day, my husband and I were strongly urged by my father-in-law to stay at their house. "I can't let a pregnant woman go out in this cold," he insisted. "Stay a little longer, all right? You're going to be a mother, so you have to take care of your body. Take a bath and get warm." My mother-in-law nodded in agreement, practically pushing me towards the bathroom. I refused several times, uncomfortable with taking a bath before everyone else, but they wouldn't hear of it. "My parents insist," my husband said with a gentle smile. "Please go and relax. I'll be fine waiting." In the end, I couldn't refuse their kindness. As I soaked in the steamy bathtub, I stroked my stomach, a sense of calm washing over me. Gently closing my eyes, memories of my marriage came flooding back. Our first meeting. My mother-in-law's fake smile as she murmured, "You look like a dumb face." When she learned I was older than her son, her jealousy surfaced. "I don't know what you're going to do with my child, but a woman like you is not suitable for my son." From then on, she was sarcastic every time I visited. She spoiled my food, was stingy with gifts, and did a lot of other things you'd only see in TV dramas. When she found out I was having trouble getting pregnant, her cruelty intensified. She called me relentlessly, telling me she felt sorry I couldn't even have a daughter, and that a barren woman should break up with her son immediately. My husband, aware of the situation, scolded her, and the situation was temporarily resolved. But her presence remained a source of immense stress. It was my husband and Yumi, his sister, who saved me from her constant attacks. They cared about me and reprimanded her for going too far. Yumi, as a woman, understood my pain. After every encounter, she would always say, "Even if it is very hard now, you will be happy. Have confidence in your choice and do your best." Her words gave me the strength to keep going. Now, even my mother-in-law seemed happy about my pregnancy. Maybe things were finally going to get better. I was lost in these pensive thoughts, enjoying the relaxing bath, when suddenly, without warning, the lights went out. "Power outage," I mumbled, peering through the frosted glass of the bathroom door. The changing area was dimly lit. Carefully, I stepped out of the bathtub, hands on the wall, holding my belly and being careful not to slip. I reached out to open the bathroom door, but before I could, I heard the sound of the sliding door opening. "Are you there?" I called out, my voice echoing in the darkness. Whoever opened the door didn't answer. I couldn't see clearly in the darkness, and a chill ran down my spine. "Are you okay?" I asked again, my voice louder this time. As if interrupting my voice, something ice-cold came crashing down from overhead. Splash! The sound of water bouncing off the floor, the sudden shock of cold against my warm skin. Someone's hand shoved me hard off my shoulder. Instinctively, I put my hand on my belly to protect my child, leaving my head vulnerable. A dull thud echoed in the darkness as my head hit the tile floor, and then everything went black. The next time I woke up, I was in a hospital bed. Covered in casts and bandages, dressed in a hospital gown, I gently looked down at my stomach. It was flat. "The baby," I whispered, fear gripping my heart. Memories of past miscarriages flashed before my eyes. My husband, his face pale and mouth twitching, rushed to my side. "What happened to the baby?" I asked, my voice trembling. "Is the baby safe?" He took my hand, stroking it gently as if to calm me down. "The baby is already born. Our child is fine, not injured, not sick. Our child was born prematurely, so they are in an incubator now, but you will be able to see them soon." Looking back, I realized he'd been unable to hide his fear and upset. But at the time, I was too overwhelmed with relief to notice. My child was safe. That was all that mattered. As time passed, however, questions began to surface. "Why did this happen?" I asked my husband, but he just murmured, "Don't worry, I'll protect you both." A few days later, Yumi visited. I thought she came to see how I was doing, but she looked stiff and was dressed in her work clothes, the uniform of a police officer. "I want you to tell me as much as you can remember about that night," she said, her face serious. I knew this was an official inquiry, but my memories were hazy. I don't remember much. Suddenly the lights went out, and while I was lost in the darkness, someone came in and pushed me. Then I hit my head and woke up in the hospital. "Is that all? There's nothing you're hiding, is there?" "No," I insisted. "I told you everything." She frowned, her brow furrowed as she finished taking notes. "I'll come back to talk to you later," she said, walking out of the room. Almost at the same time, my husband entered. "There was a police officer here? What was that about?" He didn't seem to realize it was Yumi who had just left. I explained that I had told her everything I remembered about that night. As he listened, his face turned white, his hands shaking and his forehead breaking out in a cold sweat. "Hey, what's wrong? Are you okay?" I asked, concerned by his sudden change. He paced around the hospital room, his agitation growing with every step. Finally, he stopped, took a deep breath, and looked me straight in the eye. "I'm going to take care of you, no matter what. We'll be fine." His words seemed directed more at himself than at me. A few days later, my father-in-law came to visit, his face etched with worry. Before I had a chance to greet him, he dropped to his knees, bowing deeply. "Please don't report it to the police," he pleaded. "Huh? What's that you came here to say?" My husband was furious, his voice booming with anger. My father-in-law ignored him, continuing to bow his head to me. "I'll pay you alimony, whatever you want. Please, no charges. You wouldn't press charges against someone who meant no harm, would you?" "What do you mean, the police? Why are we even talking about this?" I was completely lost. My husband, his expression pained, explained what had happened. My mother-in-law wasn't happy about my pregnancy. She hated me even more for carrying her grandchild. She wanted us to divorce, and she had asked her sister for advice on how to make it happen. Yumi, caught in the middle, had suggested a cruel plan. "Why don't you cool her body down?" She even offered to help. My mother-in-law, with her sister's cooperation, had tricked me into taking a bath, intending to cause a miscarriage. She had turned off the bathroom light, and while my eyes were still adjusting to the darkness, she poured a bucket of ice water over me. When she saw me pass out, she came up with another idea. If I had accidentally fallen, the responsibility wouldn't fall on her. She could shift the blame to me. She thought that if she forced me to divorce my husband, I wouldn't even be able to demand compensation because I had killed my child. I was speechless. I couldn't believe my mother-in-law was capable of such a thing. The realization that she harbored murderous intent towards me and her grandchild sent a chill down my spine. "I'll make my wife pay for her crimes, even if it takes her whole life," my father-in-law pleaded. "So please, just don't tell the police." His words were filled with a desire to protect himself, not an ounce of genuine remorse for what had happened to me. "I get it," I said, taking a deep breath. "I have no second thoughts. I will submit a victim report, following the proper procedures. I smiled, watching as his face contorted in shock. But it wouldn't be good for us, not for our grandchild. Think again, please. The grandmother almost killed her grandchild. I can't stand the idea of having relatives who are so violent towards others, I stated firmly. I will sue her to protect my child. I have to make sure she takes responsibility for her actions, for the sake of my child, right? I tilted my head towards my husband. He nodded vigorously. You asked me to see her because you wanted to apologize. But after all this, you care more about yourself than her. I feel sorry for our child having such a cruel grandfather. You will not be involved with my family from now on. Just keep that in mind. Are you going to abandon your parents? My father-in-law was making a fuss, his eyes bloodshot. But my husband's next words silenced him. I've become a parent. I must protect my child. He jumped up and walked out of the room, leaving his father kneeling on the floor. Afterward, I explained the situation to Yumi and formally filed a police report. As a result, my mother-in-law was sentenced to prison, and her sister was also convicted of participating in the crime. My father-in-law was declared persona non grata by my husband and distanced from us. Yumi, who knew the truth, spread the story at her workplace, making her brother's life a living hell. He lost his friends and his family, and now lives a lonely life, ostracized for his actions. I was safely discharged from the hospital and was able to return home with my child to my husband's waiting arms. I'm going to protect you both for the rest of my life, he said, bowing his head, because that's the only way I can make amends. My husband is working hard to be a good father and a reliable and loving presence in our lives. I never thought I'd be involved in something like this, but it's in the past now. He wasn't responsible for his mother's actions. From now on, my husband and I will do our best to support our child's growth, creating a safe and loving home for our family. Let's conclude the story shortly. Despite the trauma and betrayal, I found strength in my love for my child and the unwavering support of my husband. We built a happy life together, focused on our little family. The pain of the past faded, replaced by the joy of watching our child grow. Though the scars remained, they served as a reminder of the strength I found within myself, the power of love, and the importance of protecting those most precious to me. The experience taught me that family isn't always about blood ties, but about the people who stand by you, who love and cherish you unconditionally. And in the end, that's all that truly matters. After experiencing the full journey of our story, we'd love to hear your thoughts. How did the story resonate with you? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay blessed. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next story.